In this lesson, we're going to talk about some other intervals. Now, in a few lessons back, we talked about octaves, which is sort of the fundamental interval, which is a note and then the high version of that note. And really what it is the bottom note and the top note, the frequencies of those two notes are 2 to 1. That's the relationship. A low C is so many cycles per second, and then a high C is twice as many cycles per second. So that's the fundamental musical interval. And the way we talk about music, we always have 8 notes between each octave. And we use the letters to describe those notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. That's 7. And then the 8th note starts over again with A. So that's why it's called an octave, because octa meaning 8, and 8 notes up, and that's the octave. So when I talk about intervals, we're always talking in numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The octave, and the one I'm going to show you, or the two I'm going to show you in this lesson, are the fourths and the fifths. So basically, a fourth is the 4th degree of the scale. So if I start on a C, and I know we haven't gone over scales or anything like that yet, but this is just to get you warmed up into the idea of intervals and how they interact. And then when we put it all together, you'll get a scale, and it'll make more sense. So, but just bear with me for now. So if I start on a C, and I go up 4 notes, C, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm on the 4th. And if I play those 2 notes together, that interval is a 4th. Like the octave, this is a different sound. It's the 4th. Now, because the bass neck is symmetrical all over the place, anywhere you want to play a 4th, it's very simple to just stay on the same fret and go up 1 string. That's a 4th. The same thing as if you go down a 4th, you just go down a string. Down in pitch a string. So say I'm on an E here, and I want to go up a 4th. It's the same fret, just a different string. If I want to go up a 4th from there, I go to the next string. So anywhere on the entire neck, anywhere you want to play a 4th, it's the same. Now, this all sounds fine and good. What good is a 4th? Well, a 4th makes a very fundamental musical sound that the bass players use all the time. And I'll give you an example. Like in bluegrass, we use the 4th in our basic pattern on a chord. So let's say we start on a C. We're going to use a 4th below as our bouncing note. I don't know how else you want to call it, but we sit there and go like this. I'm using the 4th all the time. And you know this sound. You've heard it a billion times. But it's a 4th. Now I'm throwing extra notes in there just, to make it sound musical. But the fundamental interval I'm using is the 4th. I'm staying on the same fret, going back and forth. The higher note is the note of the chord I'm starting on, but I'm using the interval of a 4th to make the bass line. Okay, so that's a 4th. Anywhere on the neck. The next interval is the 5th. So I'm going to start on a C again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up on a G in the key of C, but that is a 5th. Now you know this sound. You hear it a lot. It's sort of the basis of power chords, where I'm actually taking an octave and adding the 5th in between. And I'm making sort of a chord. The 5th is just as musically important for bass players as the 4th. It's sort of the opposite direction. So if I were playing bluegrass again, I'm using the 5th as that same sort of bounce note. So it's a very fundamental thing for bass players to know. The 5th and the 4th. These are the two sort of most basic intervals beyond the octave, and that's something as a bass player you will use all the time. So to practice this, just play fifths all over the neck. Try it in different places. It always feels different. different spots on the neck. And you want to get used to the feeling of playing these intervals. Also fourths. And try messing around with doing some bass lines. If you're into bluegrass, it's a very simple thing.